Hello, this is Kevin Annett. It's December 18th, and I'm speaking to you from liberated territory of the Republic of Kanata, formerly the Dominion of Canada, but now under common law jurisdiction. I have some very important announcements to make, some very good announcements, and also to squelch some rumors that have been going around, and I'm going to address all of that today. The first very important announcement has to do with the convening of the first grand jury under common law jurisdiction in history of Canada. That's going to occur on January 15th, 2015, in the new year, 2 weeks after the establishment of the Constitutional Republic of Kanata. Now, the establishment of the Republic will convene what's known as a High Court of Justice, which has the authority to create these grand juries in common law courts. These will be a lawful court. Now, grand jury traditionally is to investigate, a citizen's investigation really, into any matter. What the grand jury in Vancouver is going to be doing is really bringing together the evidence from many, many sources over the last number of years. And I'll tell you some of the issues that are going to be looked at. First of all, the whole issue of the Pacific Rim child trafficking and snuff film industry, which ties the Canadian and the Chinese governments into these crimes of trafficking and murdering children. The Drangheta, the mafia organization based in Europe, which has a lot of influence in Canada, the Drangheta and Catholic Ninth Circle sacrificial practices have been known to occur among a lot of Aboriginal West Coast people. We're going to be documenting that. We're going to be looking at the unsolved disappearance of over 200 Aboriginal women in British Columbia. We're going to be looking at the whole regime of institutionalized pedophilia and child killing operating out of the so-called 12 Mile Club and Vancouver Club on the West Coast, and it involves major church, police, government leaders, including judges and business leaders. We're going to look specifically as well. We're going to investigate and bring to justice those responsible for the unsolved murder of 6 of our ITCCS members in Vancouver, 6 Aboriginal members, including Ricky Lavallee, Bingo Dawson, William Coombs, who was a witness to the abduction of children by Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. And finally, we're going to be exposing the whole Black Ops misinformation campaign, which is coming out of Vancouver from paid operatives who are being supported in their efforts to blacken our work and confuse people. They're being paid directly by Drangheta and those in the Hells Angels and Vancouver Police who they work with. Now, the ITCCS Central Directorate is also sending at least 2 and probably up to 5 of their officers to Vancouver to help convene the grand jury. This grand jury will consist of 25 citizens who will form the jury, a prosecuting attorney, members of the tribunal, and judicial officers who are going to be coming again, as I mentioned, with the full authority of the Constitutional Republic of Kanata. The stand-down orders and revocation orders will be issued to the police, to the judges, to other authorities in Vancouver not to intervene, or they will face arrest for obstruction of justice. And our own common law court sheriffs will be monitoring and providing security at the grand jury. Now, more of this information will be posted at itccs.org. The second thing I want to talk about is how a lot of this new development is directly because of breakthroughs that we made over the last few months. Another one in Vancouver, of course, with the Kinder Morgan dispute, showing how common law warrants work. We forced the Supreme Court of British Columbia and the RCMP to back off in that dispute, to release over 110 protesters and stop the bore drilling by Kinder Morgan pipeline at Burnaby Mountain. That was a directly result of the issuing of our common law stand-down order to the judges and to the RCMP. We've shown people that these warrants work. And so we are going to be building on that with the grand jury and the launching of the Republic on January 1st. Really urge people to contact republicofkanata.com to be on board with this whole movement. But it's important to understand, too, that these recent attacks on us are not accidental. These internet attacks that suddenly come like a swarm of gnats all around us at certain times, it's happening now for a reason, and that's because we're getting very close to the power of this global cabal. We've indicted their chief officers, the popes, the Queen of England, various other corporate heads, governments of Canada, have all been indicted and face standing citizen arrest warrants. But when we exposed the links between Drangheta, the mafia criminal syndicate, and the Vatican, and how the Drangheta were providing children for these sacrificial rituals, we began to cut into the profit margins of this global child trafficking industry. We helped Interpol arrest over 1,000 people and released 30 children from cages in Belgium and Holland over the last few months. That's cutting into their money. Then they stood up and took notice. Now, in response, we had some unfortunate occurrences happen. Alfred Weber, who's I've known for over 10 years, he's been a good supporter. He's interviewed us a number of times. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Alfred demanded to know the identity of these judges in the common law court in Brussels. Now, he understands fully well, as does any reasonable person, that when you're naming these top officials and bringing them to trial, the judges have to maintain a cloak of anonymity, as are the witnesses, the prosecutor, the evidence. If we release this evidence publicly or prematurely, these people will die. We've known that from unfortunate incidents, including those 6 members of ours in Vancouver who were very public and vocal and were killed as a result of it. We established that there would be anonymity and secrecy around those judges. Well, Alfred Weber knew that, but he went ahead anyway and essentially blackmailed us. He said, if you do not expose and bring out more evidence and the names of these judges and the court documents, all of this, right away, we will not allow you any more media coverage, and we won't interview you anymore in our network. Kind of implying that they were going to start to get on board with these smears, which are kind of alleging that we've made the whole thing up, which is, of course, absurd when you look at the result in the real world of all these popes and others stepping down. Now, in response to that, we simply said to Alfred, we don't understand why you're doing this. You understand very well what is involved here. And we found it interesting that the very same week that Alfred was doing that, the whole big internet smear attacks that began on us again, almost in coordination with Alfred's statement, including some of these smears were coming from personal friends and associates of Alfred Weber in Australia, including Lalish de Avalon. Now, I don't say this in order to make an issue about Alfred. I mean, I hope Alfred comes to his senses. This is not about him. It's not a personal dispute at all. We stand on a simple principle. We have to protect the sources and this ongoing investigation, because the lives of children are at stake right now. Children are being held in cages and sacrificed on altars as we speak, especially during the Saturnalia period coming up to Christmas. We will not allow that to happen. This is the purpose of the grand jury trial. And we urge everyone to come forward now, volunteer as common law sheriffs, help in your own neighborhoods to enforce the common law, especially here in Canada, where there will be a new Republican jurisdiction, the umbrella that will provide us protection for all that we do. Finally, some other good news. We heard from London this week that Elizabeth Windsor is considering tendering her abdication, her resignation. We know this is in direct response to the convening of the Republic on January 1st, because then her power will be officially null and void, and she knows it. So we look forward to more information about that. Also, in a final note, December 24th is the 58th anniversary of the murder of Maisie Shaw, a little Indian girl at the Port Alberni Residential School. It was the disclosure of her murder by our work 20 years ago that first started this whole process of exposing genocide in Canada. And in memory of Maisie, and on January 23rd, we are convening a media event where we'll be announcing the launching of a new documentary film. It's really the sequel to Unrepentant. It's called Unrelenting, 20 Years in Pursuit of the Assassins. That will be based on the fact that the January 23rd, 2015 is the 20th anniversary of my firing by the United Church, which led to much of this disclosure. So again, this will be part of the grand jury convening in Vancouver, and we urge all of you to come and be part of that. I just want to close by reminding people that the power is in our hands. These common law verdicts are enforceable. The public order of revocation of the power of Crown officials is a standing order. We showed in Vancouver in the Kinder Morgan disputed works. So help us now enforce this. We hope to see you all in Vancouver on January 15th. There will be more updates at ITCCS.org and republicofkanata.com. I thank you.